what, the other 3 months? Is that what it is?
I don't even know what the time frame is on that. I just know that they said, not so much. So of course, anytime the FDA says not so much, I mean, the stock, I mean, that's just a crazy gap down, right? My God.
That's incredible, man.
Could you imagine waking up to that this morning? I mean, you bought in, bought in this week where it jumped from $9 to 26 and then came back down. And then, you figure it settled in at 16 and then it may go back up to 26. But then you woke up and you saw this and like, oh, Jesus Christ. I mean, every morning that I trade, I usually take about 47 muscle relaxers, 16 antidepressants, and a cup of coffee just to get started. But my friend, would drive you to madness.
Brutal.
Well, it's kind of interesting that the FDA actually is not saying outright no. The drug didn't meet its primary endpoints in the second and third phase. So is this where the FDA is at? They just they're not going to not approve these drugs. They're just going to be like, well, we need more information, and approve like Biogen's drug, which didn't meet its primary endpoint either. It's just what is the FDA approving now, especially when the panel of experts that on the drug.
Well, you saw that they turned down Biogen.
Yeah, the panel.
They accepted Biogen, and then a couple of whistleblowers said that was too fast, and even resigned. So.
Yeah, those are the panel of experts. There were 11 of them. 10 voted no on the drug, and then they started resigning when the FDA said, "Well, hey, fucking approved anyway."
Yeah, well, you know why that happens, man. Somebody got paid.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Palantir reports FAA selected company for aircraft certification safety monitoring solution. Wow, well, $18.4 million 1-year contract. So I'm sorry, I'm interrupting you, my friend.
No, why didn't anybody want to buy into that the OPHR anyway?
Because it was a Wall Street bets play. I mean, it was a Reddit play. I mean, because when it took off, there was no catalyst for it whatsoever. If you go back to Monday, even if you go back to last week, I mean, there was no reason for it to take off. I mean, it started showing up and it started showing up in my chat. On Benzinga Pro, which is the only website that I go to, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Same here.
But everybody on chat said, Orf is taking off, or Phason's taking off, get in. And I stay away from those stocks anymore, man. I mean, they're too crazy for me. And this is a perfect example why. I mean, God, I would be losing my mind this morning if I owned fucking or Phazon.
I don't think you can trust anybody out there anymore. I think there's more snake oil salespeople than ever before, in the power of social media and how it has the potential to attract buyers over a wide range of market participants. Just stay away from it. If you don't know what it is, if you can't tell me in one sentence why you're buying it, don't do it.
You can trade these, but don't get involved in these huge gap ups and gap downs that this stock had all the way to $77, and then just completely get screwed. Do you remember that day? It was last Friday, wasn't it? Where or was it last Thursday? One of the two days last week. God. This is the stock that just shot up for no reason. Yeah, on to 77. It gapped all the way up.
Oh, it wasn't down. That one. That wasn't that one, but it was something else. I thought. There was a handful of them last week and the week before that did stupid shit like this, man. I mean, makes no damn sense. But I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're right. There were some that did that. This is the one in particular that was gapping up huge, and then it had a huge gap down after its downward halt. That was this one. You can if you go to the 5-minute, you should be able to see it. If you scroll backwards, the tail of the tape.
You're going to 5 days.
Yeah, you can go to 5 days, and you could, if you go all the way back to the 10th, that's when it looks like it was. Gapped up. Right there. It just gapped. You see all those gaps?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. That's holy shit.
So it just gap, and then gap, and then crash.
Yeah, that's somebody knowing something, man. That's almost like dark pool freaking transactions right there, dude.
Great question in the chat.
In the system.
Speaking of, can market makers manipulate the candles to show buy signals? Does anybody know? Can market makers manipulate the candles? I don't think so.
I think
To
market
show-
makers can manipulate anything. I mean, the algorithm can do anything just about.
I mean,
But I could be
it's
wrong.
not the
I mean,
market
it's been known to
makers.
happen.
It's not the market makers that are doing these halts either.
True. All right. So what happened? We'll come back to that one another time. What happened with
Let's table
Palantir
that.
over our
Palantir
favorite
got
stock of
selected
mine?
by the F. It's definitely favorite stock of mine. Palantir got the FAA selected them for aircraft certification safety monitoring solution. So that's a 1-year contract with two added option years for $18.4 million.
Folks, up 23% over the past month. I think this is a solid investment. I also think this is a lot of potential for trading. I know on this show, we are going to be talking a lot about Palantir in the future. So let's stay up on this one together. I think this is awesome.
Let's table this for now because I know that you've got something more important to talk about today.
I do.
Which is inflation.
What the fuck is going on? Yeah,
I don't know,
exactly. So
since you're the resident educated one,
the businessman
going to college,
yeah.
then this is something that you would definitely know about. I'm just the stupid blonde guy in the room.
Hey, real quick, shout out to Jason Jackson in the chat. Yesterday at his first day of profits, round of applause for the man. And he said, this team is the motivation for him to make that money. And we love that, baby. That's right, man. This is the show for that. You're welcome, Jason. Thanks for being here, man. You're making my day. This is the point of the show. Let's get better together. This is not one person. This is not anything. Yeah, go Jason. That's right. Thank you, Gary. Jumping in like a G. So, yes, we are here to get better together. We love doing this. This is the Friday morning. I almost dropped a big F-bomb. I shouldn't have said this. Is the Friday morning happy hour. We're excited you're here. If you're on YouTube, you're on Twitter, you're on Twitch, hit that like, smash it. Come hang out with us. Smash a drink, maybe some coffee. I don't know what Avan's drinking in the background, but
I'm drinking a screwdriver, my friend.
Fun.
Screwdrivers.
This is the best part about being a trader. You have no fucking commute. You just sit and you got nowhere to go. So enjoy the morning.
Get a DUI on my couch. Get a DUI on my couch.
Nothing wrong with that. So we are ready to rock. So now again, the point of the show, we want to get better together, and we want to do that through a lot of discussion. Today, I need everyone to join in. Throw in some points of view.
Or PH offer dime shares.
Going off in my ear. Actually, it's Joel. Good enough.
Trading around $7 now off the lows.
Yeah,
so
somebody's got
more than half their value.
Oh, okay, yeah.
After the
Double
company
check that, please, if you guys
letter
can.
from the
Gotta
FDA.
watch out for it's Randall. I got you covered, big guy. So we gotta get everybody talking today because we gotta figure out this inflation thing. This has been the biggest topic of the week. There's a lot of questions. This is going to all affect us for the second half of the year. Traditionally, the summer is a quiet time anyway. So let's start setting up our plans and our plays for Q4. This is how the best traders and investors do this. They're always thinking ahead. We've got inflation now. Let's get cooking. Let's hammer this out together. So the basics, the facts are pretty simple. Inflation is the highest it's been in 13 years. All right, you're going to see a lot of buzzwords around 2008, right before the GFC. That does not bother me. I'm not worried about that. I think it's more or less coincidental. I think they're totally two different economies and markets. I think it's two different things propping up the market as well. Okay, but the 5% CPI absolutely does concern me. I do have an issue with that. That is worrisome. That's quite large, quite fast. And 5% is noticeable across the board. Okay. Essentially, the definition, to keep it very simple, of inflation, we have high demand, we have low supply. We have too much money, high demand, chasing too few goods, low supply. Therefore, as we all know, when supply outstrips demand, demand outstrips supply, prices are going to rise. So that's what we've got right now. Now, our fearless leader of our stock market, Jerome Powell, I think we could really.
Oh, I thought you were talking about me.
No, the overall, the other.
If that was the case, we'd be in a world of hurt.
Oh no, I think we'd be a lot better off. But for the conversations we've had, I think the world would be a lot better of a place, man.
We'd have fewer pants.
Exactly.
We'd have fewer pants. You heard it here first, people. Get even head of the Fed. Everyone has to wear pants ever again. All right.
Pants are overrated.
He is going to be hands off. That is probably and this is where the conversation is going to start. This is what kind of confuses me here. Powell wants to be hands off, but with inflation, and I get it, the transitionary period, 5% seems a little higher than transitionary because it's harder for individuals to swallow. And I think in my opinion, the people that are going to be hit the hardest through this are going to be small business owners. We'll save that for a little bit later in the conversation. But he did mention that we may need to raise rates sooner than possible, which I guarantee has thrown a wrench in the Fed's plans for their long-term rate hikes. They were never planning on doing it, but they're going to have to do this to cool the economy. And here's why. The basic synopsis is, if the economy is overheated, I have way too much demand, I have too little supply, I need to bring that in equilibrium. I need to encourage people not to spend money. So let's start with 2008 as a primary example. In 2008, the Fed slashed rates to just about zero. The point being, I need to stimulate the economy. I need to get money and loans as low and cheap as possible to encourage people not to save their money, but to spend it. Buy the house, buy the car, open the department store credit card to get the TV, and if you're real lucky, maybe buy a new boat, something like that. We want to spur the economy, get things going. All right. Well, when you have an inflationary period, you need the exact opposite. You need to encourage people to save their money. Way to do that is to raise rates, and it's the Fed rate, which is the overnight rate banks are charged to lend each other money. Yes, banks do that all the time. Their reserves will change, and if JP Morgan is a little low on cash, they might borrow some money from Citibank, and if rates are low, they can do that more, meaning they can keep more money out into the economy. If rates go up, they don't want to borrow that money from each other. They want to keep it in-house. That means rates are going to go down. They want to encourage people to keep money in the bank, keep their cash reserves high. So saving rates will go up, debt will be more expensive. That'll slowly cool the economy. So which really is confusing, which I really need you guys on this, is why the market is more or less exactly flat for the week. I just do not understand. But here's the first question. How the hell can the Fed raise rates in this last quarter, in the middle of the last quarter of the pandemic? Does reopening hurt this situation even more? Are people just going to shrug off all of this? Now, fuck saving. Why the hell would I want to do that? Bro, I got a party to go to. I don't care how much it costs for this goddamn street taco. I am buying that street taco. I am going to that concert. I'm hitting the road. I don't give a shit what it costs to fly. Rates go up. If jet fuel is going to cost more, okay, nobody cares. Or excuse me, inflation goes up, jet fuel costs more. Your plane tickets are going to be more expensive over the summer. It doesn't seem
they don't care. They don't care. They just want to travel.
Cares, right? Okay, is it like this? Serious question, is the reopening going to add actual fuel to the overheated economy, actual fuel on the fire, and make inflation just take off and actually get way worse before it gets better? What do you guys think? Let's start right there.
Anybody?
Well, I've seen that lumber's been coming down, so
yeah, all commodities are down this morning.
Yeah. So we got a lot of the raw materials coming down, which is good since that is a little bit more helpful to the supply chain. I think I saw China possibly releasing, copper reserves, into the global economy to meet that demand. So, I mean, so I guess the point is, what you're saying is, are people just going to spend money because there's no point in saving it because you have a shit rate, and is that going to lead to higher prices? I mean, I guess
because prices are already high, labor is already short, and that's really the cause of overall of inflation was we have a labor shortage and we have a material shortage. So everybody just pumping more money, demanding more on those already stressed factors. is going to increase prices to go up. Inflation is going to go higher.
It seems like it's like a game of chicken at this point with the workforce and see who's gonna buckle first.
Getting a pop here, whiskey India, Michael India.
Watch. We don't need Charlie today. We can give us an hour. We'll trust me. We'll make you more money in the long run. So, game of chicken between who, Joseph? What do you mean?
Well, it just seems like the workforce that hasn't returned yet is demanding higher wages, and there's also this demand for a workforce. So it's like, okay, so who's gonna give in first? Is it going to be the workforce, and they're just going to return to work under the current rates that they've been earning, or are they going to win and get higher rates from these companies, and maybe even bring about the inflationary
Zoltan
that you're talking about.
Zoltan, I have access to Benzinga's Twitter.
Spencer, you're Spencer.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Spencer has access.
Spencer has access.
Yeah. Thank you, Spencer. We love you, big guy. Spencer is the heart and soul of Benzinga behind the scenes.
Oh, he's the best.
The Benzinga TV, everything you see, we love him. The guy fucking.
Yeah,
he's a
especially because I'm
player.
soulless.
Yeah.
Anyway,
we're working on it.
When I'm looking at what's going on with the economy and everything, it makes me wonder, where are all the holes that need to be filled? And it seems like the supply chain holes are starting to be filled, but the workforce is just needing to come back and start more production so costs can start coming down.
Could you say that last part? Well, I just did not hear you, Joseph.
Oh, I was just saying that it seems like the
Could you say that last part again, Joseph?
Yeah. It seems like the supply situation is starting to get dealt with the lumber prices and material prices starting to come down, but it's really seems like it's the workforce that hasn't fully returned. I guess we'll call it their station, for whatever reason, and that's keeping production costs high because we don't have a lot of people working in these production sectors of the economy. So
that's one of the reasons why. One of the reasons why housing is so ridiculously overpriced right now, because there's no new product to market.
Yeah, and Kevin McMahon just said lumber comes from Canada. They're just starting to open. That's that's kind of the point. That lumber coming down.
Good point.
But you're not seeing home builders really enthusiastic about these material prices, so they're not pumping out these new spec homes as quickly for the time being. So that's now you have like a supply shortage of homes. It's just one thing after the other. But yeah, there's a lot of once the supply issue starts coming back around and getting handled, and the workforce starts getting back to manufacturing and production jobs, we'll see these inflation start to come on in, and you'll see the prices come on down. But that needs to happen, and I think with the unemployment benefits expiring, I think it's Labor Day. That's kind of like a deadline for people to get back to get a job. What do you want to say, Mike?
That. So when exactly? That's what I thought. I assumed, or I remembered, that federal unemployment ends in September, but that's still 3 months of money getting pumped.
Yeah.
All right. Do you have the patience as not only an investor, but as a general consumer to ride this wave out? I don't think it's going to stop at 5% is ultimately what I'm saying. I think it's going to go higher because of those reasons. Do you have the patience to wait it out? Do you want the Fed to act quicker? If they do, that leads into the next problem, but then we're not out of this COVID woods thing. We can't raise rates too fast. We can't. It just seems that we are stuck between a rock and the hard place, and I don't know which way to go yet. I don't have a sense of direction. Do you see what I'm saying?
Call me crazy, but hasn't the market, when the 10-year goes up, the market goes down. When the 10-year goes down, the market goes down. It's almost as if
Not right now.
nobody knows what the hell is going on.
Yeah, a little bit.
Now, yeah. that's also the other issue, though, is if inflation is going to. Oh, we got somebody's kid walking around.
That's Charlie.
Charlie. Yeah, it is Charlie. That's the other issue, though. With inflation rising, okay, the 10-year's going up. So if inflation goes up, more or less investors want more return for their money. They have to offset the loss of the purchasing power. So the 10-year's going to go up. Well, that should trigger a red flag for investors, because as the 10-year goes up, traditionally the market wants to go down. The asset, the stock asset isn't as valuable, but that is putting more pressure to that defeats the purpose of what seems to be the mission of the Fed right now, which is to support the market. I just don't understand where they go or what they do. And I guess, ultimately, guys, I do trust them, because the more we're walking into this, it's like a gigantic spider web. I don't even understand. I can't even see the whole spider web, yet alone how to fix it, how to get out of it. I do kind of trust these guys, but I'm not comfortable right now. I just see this as a big recipe for disaster. I just don't. I don't see us getting out of here anytime soon.
You got crazy Jimbo Cramer, man, saying that inflation is good, and then you've got somebody on an alternative channel saying that it's bad. So you don't know if you're coming or going anymore when it comes to the economy. And I don't really think that anybody, even Powell, really knows exactly how the economy works, because it's so alive. There's not one set equation that determines everything.
Yeah, that one I don't want to pick a side on who's right. And I think I can't wait to have that conversation of whose voice is the loudest in controlling the market here, and why are they talking so loud? We're going to save that conversation for another day too.
Yeah, we could table that conversation.
It comes down to this I know that one's going to be pretty nuts. That's going to be a good day. I might join you for a drink on that one. So COVID and inflation together sucks, right? I mean, we can't raise rates too fast. The rates are low for a reason. And I thought rates have been low for so long. And we're talking now well over a decade of near zero rates, which is really crazy to me, that the economy in some pockets has done so well. The market has been in it's been a bull market for 10 years, over 10 years. So, or just about. So the Fed has to keep rates low for some reason, because the economy is on shaky ground, even though it's been fine for what seems like a long time. And the market has been roaring, but COVID drops. Oh, we can't raise rates. There's nothing we can do about that. Now we have the issue of, well, the only true firepower, the biggest tool in the toolbox for the Fed is its Fed funds rate, is its first foray into monetary policy. What the hell are they going to do? How do they not do this sooner than later and then completely crush all their previous plans? I'm just really torn around.
Well, do you think the government is
today?
Do you think the government is doing too much too soon right now, being that we're not completely out of COVID? I mean, do you think that we're talking about trillions of dollars for infrastructure projects and spending all of this money on social programs?
Oh, yes, I do.
Even though we're not completely out of COVID yet, and and how much is the Fed? How much assets is the Fed still buying?
$120 billion.
Yeah, $120 billion.
80 billion in treasuries and 40 billion in mortgage-backed securities. Why the fuck are they buying all that if the economy is fine? And I'm not talking about COVID economy. I'm talking about literally January 2020, December 2019. The economy was great. Why are you guys spending all this fucking money? What is going on? And now you've completely shoeboxed yourself into a shitty situation you absolutely cannot get out of. Your counterparts in the federal government have decided to just literally bet the house on pumping all this cash, which is like I was a little skeptical, but it sounds like everyone was right. Like, oh, this is going to cause inflation. Boom, here it is now, and you've completely screwed yourself over for any sort of quick resolve. And I
can't buy pants.
And you can't buy pants. Well, you know what? I'm gonna come down to Daytona. I can't wait. Yeah, so I might see Metallica in November. I'll buy you some pants. All right. Is anybody else
I'm
have
in Key
any
West
other?
today, by the way.
Oh, good. Well, I hope so. Taxes will go up, Kevin. I hope taxes. Why, Kevin? Why do you think taxes will go up? Do you think they're going to go up to offset the debt? Do you think they're going to go up to somehow cool the economy? That's a good question. And guys, don't be afraid. None of you are on mute. Please mute your children. But jump in here. I want to hear.
Absolutely, get involved.
Yeah, I want to hear your points. This is what we want to do. If this was Friday night and 12 hours from now, we're all going to be at the bar talking about this. If this was Friday night, 14 hours from now, we'd be around a bonfire. We just happen to be, one of us is enjoying a drink, one of us is enjoying some
make
coffee.
Make fun of the guy in the sunglasses.
Well, no one wants to make fun of you.
Yeah, even would be waking
like
up.
you. We all like you. So Kevin is.
I don't even like myself.
Well, you got to love yourself before anyone's gonna love you. Okay?
Hey, what you do on your own time is entirely up to you, there, Michael.
I love myself plenty of times, and I've really really built up my confidence that way. All right, so taxes are gonna go up. Offset this. I think that's a disaster. How do you and Kevin? Do you think they're going to raise taxes? Like through? Is there going to be some sort of tax passed? How is that going to happen? I mean, the bureaucracy is going to take forever. There may be not enough time to do that. I guess I don't know. I'm a little worried about that. Plus, the only thing I see taxes going up for is going to pay for the infrastructure, which President Biden has already clearly outlined he's going to do. All right.
If it passes.
Hey, Mike,
So
there's nothing left to tax, man. We're already to death.
That is so true. There is nothing left to tax. We're gonna. Oh man.
Well, at the G7, that they've all agreed in principle on the 15% global tax, which makes it harder for anybody to hide, their money. So they're
some of that shit
new
this week.
Does anybody raise your hand here if you have an offshore bank account you're worried about?
HUFB, Hotel Oscar, Foxtrot Victor, HUFB, Hall of Fame Resorts and Entertainment Report, NFL Hall.
There, we got you covered. There we go.
There we go, man.
So, Kevin, I could definitely see a gas tax going up. That also just seems like a recipe for disaster of, God, we're heading into Nowhereville. Raising taxes on essentially energy, gasoline, a commodity everybody needs every single day, is. But
how does the gas tax work now that we're moving to electric vehicles?
Well,
where does that revenue stream come from?
Because the gas tax is so quick and easy to enact, and the volume production of EVs is just still not there. So we're not going to see. So General Motors putting in $30 billion to revamp their entire line. The deadline is 9 years from now. 9 years. So guys, like the next 12 months, everyone's still going to be putting gas in their car. Gas tax could absolutely work, but I don't think it's going to curb spending. I think people are just going to swallow it and move on. I don't think that's going to stop people from going out to dinner, which is essentially what we need to combat inflation. That's literally like what we need to slow this sucker down.
They'll figure out a way to tax the sun sooner or later.
Oh, absolutely.
Well, for sure. We know that.
Solar's coming with taxes at some point.
Yeah.
I mean, the government always gets their money.
Gary is absolutely right that mileage tax instead. Yeah, exactly. If you have an electric vehicle, car, they got to tax you somehow. If you're driving your electric car more, you're plugging it in more, you're putting more of a drain on the grid. Therefore, we got to tax your ass. I get that.
You can't go anywhere.
Kevin, one last
the government
question.
Gets a little.
You can't, no. Yeah, right. I mean, because they're in power and we're not. So and I think, yeah, whoever is in control likes to keep their money. Kevin, what do you mean they'll keep moving that deadline? Whose deadline? GM? I don't think GM's moving that deadline, man. I think Tesla has literally spurred. Okay, I think Tesla spurred a hornet's nest. So he's saying yes, GM's going to push that back. I don't know, man. I think the volume production for Tesla is the number of cars you see on the road are such clear indications. The cult personality of the brand itself, I think, has attracted the automakers the most. Just seeing how much people love their electric vehicle, and cars were really boring for a long time and they're just starting to get cool again. So that's good. They need that. And then two, on top of that, people love the Mach-E too. And I think Ford getting the response it has to the Mach-E in terms of sales, it's the #1 selling electric car in Europe. And the reservation numbers for the electric F-150 are huge indicators.
Oh, huge.
The big three of like, oh, we could make some money here.
How is the employment surge, or what is it, a deficiency, going to affect deliveries? Because everywhere I look now, I'm getting hit with a Tesla ad for hiring.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
well, the demand for EVs is going through the roof, and it's almost as if nowadays you get guilted. You're made to feel guilty if you drive a gas guzzler, destroying the environment.
Yeah.
So I mean,
I'm starting to feel that. Yes, I get that. I totally get that. I don't know. That's a really good question. Tesla's. That's definitely going to be, Jason. That's a great question. That is definitely going to be Tesla's hurdle for the foreseeable future, is the deliveries number and trying to attract that talent. But I don't think the type of labor shortages we're seeing in the economy today are directly relatable or related to the talent shortage that Tesla would need, because I think they're looking for different types of solutions or tasks to be, and not necessarily like, I need a short order cooker. I need just a different type of job. Going to be very interesting. Tesla will probably pull that out. Let's see. Or they could just offer fucking stock incentives to anybody, and I'm sure they'll have a line out the door. Let's see here. So I have one more question on this inflation, which I really do hope stirs up a hornet's nest. But 2 questions in the chat, or 2 comments here. California has shut down a hydroelectric plant because their second largest reservoir is too low to power it. How are they going to keep the lights on with climate change, much less charge millions of cars? Wow.
They should borrow
Gary,
electricity
that is
from
a
El
great
Salvador.
question.
That's why you're probably seeing.
Oh, yeah, that leads into my next point.
That's probably why you're
They
seeing
should
a lot
borrow
of
electricity from El Salvador.
I think.
Is he saying there's a water shortage?
Yeah,
that's been happening.
Oh yeah, big time.
That's been happening. There's been droughts in California,
particularly in California. Yeah.
And that's a big problem. So that's kind of an interesting point to bring up, because agriculture tech is going to have a really good time in the foreseeable future with having to deal with less water and increasing demand. We get most of our food in the United States from California, so there's going to have to be some crop solutions.
Ooh. Big time.
So ag tech is a big play. There's some good companies in that sector they're worth getting into.
Right.
I
absolutely
could not agree with that more. I think that's a great investment. Okay. Before we get too far off track, last question, because I know everybody has just been so stimulated mentally by the stirring inflation discussion. But where the fuck is Bitcoin? Why is the price flat? Were you Bitcoiners out there? This is your time to shine, and you guys are like literally in the back of the house. You're not even like front row of the concert. You're not even like getting on stage. You guys are like at the coat rack hitting on the ugly chick. What are you doing? Where are you? Why is Bitcoin falling flat in this time?
Regulation.
What do you mean
regulation? I mean, once people start having opinions and government, it's pretty much over. They're going to rip you off. They're going to rip off the whole idea and turn the dollar into its own crypto, which would, probably have supremacy over Bitcoin. And in which case you're just gonna stifle it, put a ceiling on it, I guess.
But if that is coming, why isn't it doing the opposite today? Essentially, the argument I heard with Bitcoin's bull run in the first part of this year was store of value. They're depleting your dollar. You're losing purchasing power. Bitcoin fixes this. Bitcoin solves it. If I fucking hear that term one more time, I'm going to throw a brick through that guy's window. It doesn't seem to be fixing anything. And to me, and I don't want to necessarily hammer Bitcoin. It's another determinant of why this thing is so puzzling, because this is your use case. This is your use case. You guys are getting nothing. Where is the money? Does anyone out there own Bitcoin and can answer that question for me? Why is the price not going up with inflation skyrocketing?
We had the price go down with the rest of the market in the beginning of the pandemic in March. It's, I don't really think it's that much of a hedge, but it's been in a bearish pattern for the past couple of months. And I think one of the catalysts that's bringing it down is the fact that ransom that was done. I forget which company it was, but
it was the Colonial Pipeline, Dark Side.
There you go. So those Bitcoin funds were recovered. So it kind of defeats the purpose of you can use Bitcoin for just about any transaction, and you're basically hiding all this from the eyes of authority.
Well, that's like CNBC just ran a story this morning, that Bitcoin has 3 flaws, and it says that it's not as anonymous as people think it is, according to Eswar Persad, a professor at Cornell University. And other issues include the fact that Bitcoin mining is extremely bad for the environment, and it doesn't work well as a currency, he says. Now, this is something that ran on CNBC, not that I consider CNBC, all-knowing, but...
Kevin, I think you're referring to when they were cracking down on the Bitcoin. I want to say miners in China, or just that whole mining or anybody that's a miner or a transactor in China. I think was getting tracked down. Or I'm probably completely screwing up the headline, but I think
you're fine.
That's what he was referring to.
That's what we do here.
Can I say something? I think
absolutely.
I think that the psychology behind Bitcoin was a lot of optimism and speculation. Everybody had their own dream of what it could one day become, and so it caught buzz. And then once the government starts stepping in, China and everything like that, now you have a limit to your vision. Everybody's vision wasn't the same of what it was going to one day become. Some people thought that it could be a currency. Some people thought, nobody really understood it, in my belief. A lot of people probably did, but a lot of people...
Agree with that. Did not. Absolutely. Keep going.
Yeah, so I just think that once you start stepping in with the big players in the world, China, the US, and you have an end in sight, and it's like, oh, there's a limitation to this. Maybe I shouldn't be in this. It's just going to be just like the dollar, like you said. If it's equal in value, if it hasn't gone up when inflation goes up, then it's not truly an asset.
I think blockchain technology is a very, very important and futuristic type of technology to have, and it's going to be important that we to use it in the for elections, supply chains. There's a lot of applications for that. I don't know how this is. I don't know how this works as a currency. I'm not. I don't want to bag on anybody that loves Bitcoin or cryptos. That's it's good to trade, I guess. I'm not particularly interested in it right now. It looks more interesting down towards 18K, in my opinion. But I up here, I don't think I want to touch it.
Well, you had Fred Eshram, the co-founder of Coinbase Global, who says that Ethereum is much better than Bitcoin, and 90% of NFTs will probably have little or no value in 3 to 5 years. So all of this is speculative. I mean, you know, even the ones that are in the know don't really know. I think it's all a fugazi.
I love that movie. I love Don Frosco. It's a fugazi. The Cadillac is the best car. Oh God, I love that. That's so good. Okay, but guys, I literally want someone to tell me I'm wrong, and I'm here to get better. I'm here. Yeah, thank you. I'm here to talk amongst a group so I can get a great answer. We can get smarter. It's not one of us is smarter than anybody. It's like all of us together smarter than any one person.
I'm absolutely the dumbest in the room.
Shut up. Again, this was the use case for Bitcoin. And Joseph, I'm a little shocked by your 18,000 attractive, because at 37 with inflation at 5% and a previous price of 62,000, this should be the perfect catalyst to get that sucker flying. Like, it doesn't make any sense of this was the alternative to the US dollar. This is the alternative to them diluting your cash. This is its catalyst. This is the time to shine. And we're down. I mean, I guess this is literally an irrelevant percentage for Bitcoin, but it's like, it's doing nothing. Why am I not seeing this? Am I wrong to assume that this should have been the catalyst? This was like, everybody in January was talking about inflation's coming and this is why Bitcoin's rising, and then poof, nothing. This is the 1 month chart and it's practically flat. Somewhat seriously, and otherwise, if no one's going to tell me, then I own a little bit. I'm never buying it again, because then it's completely BS. It's a complete scam then to me. If 5% inflation and debt beyond belief is not spurring this moment, and the narrative has already been established that Bitcoin is not a new phenomenon. It's been around for a long time. It's already been in the on the tongue of many people for this entire year, and nobody cares. Like, then cash out now, man. I might as well take my little profit of 6% and move on. I just think
buy some Orpheum stock.
I guess I'm either completely missing something or I am dead right. Like, either I'm completely missing that there is some reason it's not taken off, or I'm absolutely right that, man, this thing is not really going to do what people think it's going to do.
I don't know. I think everybody is getting a little gun shy with the FBI getting into the dark side deal. And everybody's a little worried about regulation, and the IRS has come out publicly over and over again saying, hey, we're going to start hitting you guys with taxes on Bitcoin. And, again, I've said this 1,000 times, the government likes to get their money, and they like to be able to control politics around the world. And the only way that they can do that is by the dollar. The dollar runs the world. We're able to control other governments because of it. And, by taking the dollar out of that power dynamic and Bitcoin being the currency de facto, it removes a lot of power of the United States. And, I'm sure I'm going to get hit with, all kinds of hate mail from the Bitcoin side, but, there's so much intertwined in the financial system because of the US dollar, because it is the currency of the world. Oil's bought with it. Everything's bought with it. We buy governments with it. And,
that's true.
There's countries that can't even transact without using US dollars.
Exactly. Yeah. Every country around the world buys oil in US dollars. That is the go-to currency, the default currency of the world. And
you have
if we
to
remove that from the system
to buy oil.
Yeah. If we remove it from the system, And Bitcoin is controlled by the masses instead of a central government. I mean, things change. I mean, people don't understand how big that is.
I think that the only thing you can do is have a finite amount of something in order to stabilize it. And with the ability to just print up money, and that's the kind of the negative of fiat currency, right?
Keep going, man. Keep going, because you keep going. You're coming to my side now.
I'm already there, man. I liked your perspective. I actually never thought about it that way. I didn't put the two together in comparison to understand I had a nice understanding of it until you said that. Now,
right? Like, what the fuck?
Well, look at the money supply compared to population. That's one of the things I like to correlate between the two is as the population grows and the money supply grows, and how much money supply do we have to each person theoretically. And that's the figure that is interesting to me, because you're going to get more people are going to be born, they're going to grow up, we're going to expand as a population. So this we're kind of making more money than we're diluting the value for sure, but we're making more money than people are being able to work for it and spend it. So that's the problem to look for, in my opinion. It's like how does the supply relate to the population?
So too much having too much of a too much supply of this cash. Nobody can use it, and it's not necessarily I don't think you're going down an inflationary thing, Joseph. I think you're saying, well, then doesn't this just make whatever we have useless? Aren't we essentially turning stones into sand?
It just seems like a lot of the conversation is around, well, we're just adding too much money to to the economy, but the economy keeps growing, so it's like an offset. But but the supply of money is just coming in way too fast. But there is an offset, and that's just I never hear anybody really talk about that. So I think it's an interesting figure to look at. How much money supply are we adding?
The majority of that money that they print up ends up going to the markets. They end up going into equities. So now equities are too expensive. And then I guess I don't know. That's as far.
Oh, you're right. You're absolutely right. The money is being used. It is going into things. I could not agree anymore, Jason, that I think a large portion of that money is going into equities. I think it's pushing up prices, and we're probably going to see a little bit of choppiness on the second half of the year as less supply is coming out. I think clearly this was the stimulus, no pun intended, for Bitcoin in the first half of the year. People were just putting in money. They had cash, they were spending it. They were being supplied with money, and they were spending it on cryptocurrencies. They thought it was a good use of their money. That's fine. Joseph, I agree that supply of money was going to be used somewhere, somehow. But guys, that's where we end up today, though, is I have so much money, but I can't get the car that I want, or I have so much money. I was going to get that third drink at dinner. Maybe Avan is on his seventh. However, I can't get the waitress, so I'm not going to get the day. I'm just going to take the check and leave.
There you go, Gary. That's just goes back to the Gary's saying that you go into restaurants and they're just understaffed because there's so many people that want to go out and there's nobody that wants to work. I mean, that's kind of what we were talking about earlier. Is the workforce just hasn't really fully come back at all. I think they're holding out because you got the benefits that are just paying too well. They don't expire for another few months. And just have a summer of fun, but there's so much demand. There's so much demand that I don't know if it's really going to be a summer of fun if we can't if people aren't working to make the summer of fun happen.
Joseph, I think it's going to be terrible. I think people are already. I think people working in the service industry are already fed up with stupid consumers. And the perfect example is: has anybody seen that complaint of Starbucks drinks out of like New York and California, people have like 15 fucking things on their Starbucks drinks. Like the consumer is like losing their mind. Like everything has to be perfect. And then at the same time, just taking my family out to dinner, it's like, it's impossible. The service sucks. There's no customer service. No one's doing it with a smile anymore. I think you're going to have this constant battle. I think the labor, and prices are, wages are not going anywhere. And at the end of the day, I think this whole thing is just getting screwed in small business owners because they have rising prices. They have to push up wages somehow just to get people in the door. They have all this demand. They can't meet it. That's literally the worst nightmare. I have money I cannot capitalize on, or I have demand I cannot capitalize on. My wages are way too high. My material costs are way too high. If I was running a pizzeria right now, it'd be a nightmare. I'd be like terrified. How do I get over this? So
do you understand that the value of money is actually decreasing in the psychology of the public?
Don't go to McDonald's. Yes, you're absolutely right. The value of the money is decreasing, and there's no end in sight. There's no easy way out, and I don't think anyone's coming to save us. I didn't want this to be a super doom and gloom topic, but it really was behind the scenes.
Well, I think that's we're going about this all the wrong way. I think that raising the minimum wage to $15 an hour for an entry-level job is just ridiculous. The problem is not about how much we're paying people. It's about how much it costs to live. If the federal government was to get serious about poverty and start spending money on affordable housing for people.
They've done that.
They haven't really. They've done it in little bits, but they haven't done it as a nationalistic approach, making it actually, I mean, your rent is the number one payment that you have. And, when you have a one-bedroom apartment that's $2,000 a month and you're making $8 an hour, that's just impossible. So putting it to $15 an hour only means that the guy who's running you the apartment is just going to jack up his prices. So it's all a camouflage.
You're right, and Jason, you're right. I'm wrong. They have not done that. They haven't actually put in a strong initiative to really allow people to move into structures that are good for them and easy and affordable. You're absolutely right about that. What I was thinking in my head, which triggers it, is here in Michigan, we spend an obscene amount of money on our taxes for our roads and our public schools, and they've gone nowhere fast. And it just essentially comes down to, I think, what the government tries to do, they get in their own way. And Avan, to your point, what I wish they would really do is maybe relieve some zoning issues. Are there ways that we can use up some of this vacant suburban land? I don't know. I know that's kind of a subject that's just starting to take hold, but I think it might be a really good point. And again, I think it just needs to be, let's not have the government be in charge of it. Let's do what the government does well, which is, and somehow, I can't believe I'm about to say this, is like use this bureaucracy for the better. Can we reduce zoning? Can we reduce regulations like that so it's actually easier and less costly for builders to put up those structures, so they don't have to charge the $1,400 one bedroom rates, or I guess in studio rates, really not even a one bedroom. You couldn't get a one bedroom.
Maybe this is a solution. Like, I have this idea of private sector building, small cities of affordable housing that are mixed use structures where you work and live in the same area. And you say if you had like Apple, Amazon, and Tesla in the same area, building apartments for its employees that live there as part of their compensation and work for the companies. And, the corporation pays for this. So you don't have to worry about it, going through government bureaucracy, and the federal government give them a tax incentive to do so.
I think what they're gonna do is they're ultimately gonna take the easy out and they're gonna do universal basic income.
No, of course
I love it.
They're gonna put everybody on welfare, and that's just gonna be that.
I'm huge on UBI, man. I think
because it's the easiest option, and they love stroke of the pen type of things that they can just do
guys
easily, and that's what they're gonna do.
Jason, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
How much blanking money is Walmart gonna have when it owns the semi and the semi drives itself across the country?
You got to do UBI,
dude.
When the robots run the world, I mean, you got to.
Dude, it's insane. I think that I think it's incredible what is coming, what technology will bridge the gap. We started talking about this last week with was it Ubisoft, UBI,
UiPath.
Yes, UiPath and artificial intelligence software. Yeah. Oh man, I think universal basic income is not only inevitable, but I think a true solution to many of these problems. I think it is the first 21st century solution to 21st century problems.
It's
interesting. So,
but everybody on welfare will have the same result as welfare.
But here's where I think the difference comes. I would also couple UBI with the elimination of welfare, and elimination of public housing, and the elimination of food stamps. And I would say, absolutely, everybody in this country is entitled to $40,000 or $50,000 a year. It's going to come in the form of one check. Well, however you would like to spend that check, up to you. But we have so much money we don't know what to do with.
You know what's funny? Some billionaires can do that check themselves.
They could. Oh my God, they easily could. They're never going to, but they easily could. And one issue is maybe they'd have to sell a lot of their shares in their company they built to do so. Well, hence why I was not aghast at the tax report from last week. I was like, well, they don't have the cash. It's the income of their returns. But regardless, man, no, I would say no. If you're getting a paycheck from the government, then I'm not paying for food stamps because you have the money. That is what we're not doing now. Welfare is more or less a bridge gap, but it's never enough money to get you going. Just kind of like a minimum wage is just never enough money. Yeah, I'm just different topic, but same.
All right, we got to wrap up there, Michael.
I know. Same thing. Oh yeah, it is 8 o'clock. We got to get out of here. What did we learn? We learned that Bitcoin is useless. We learned. Just kidding. We didn't get to. Yeah, that's true. We didn't get to bring up that Bitcoin is run by a volcano in El Salvador. That's interesting.
Yeah.
I think we have a huge issue with a shaky COVID economy. We have inflation. The Fed can't raise rates because it has to support the economy, but it ultimately has to raise rates to combat inflation. That's the issue. That's what's an inflationary issue. You want monetary policy to step in and lower the consumption, somehow encourage saving. And then I think we all did agree that reopening is going to be an absolute disaster for the consumer. I don't think they're going to have a good summer, and I think it's going to make inflation way worse. And the market seems to be absolutely shrugging it off because the S&P is completely flat this week, and this would have been the week for it to take it. Guys, we're already turning green in futures, and this would have been the week to take the huge hit, and it didn't care at all. Any other final thoughts from the crowd? I think we got cut off on the YouTube stream. Anybody else out there? Oh, you're so welcome. You're
You're the man, even when you dress as a woman, Michael.
Well, you know what? It's 2021. You know, the world's changing, man. Oh, and we didn't get to my SQNS stock. We'll follow up on that next week.
Christ.
I had a great trade on it. What's up? What?
No, we forgot about this SQNS.
You can't just throw out Jesus.
You're doing the Max Headroom
I know. Well,
thing
it's
today.
Fine. Maybe we did end up having a stronger conversation. Max Headroom thing today.
Yeah, you remember Max Headroom from MTV where it used to stutter? Your Wi-Fi or something.
Oh, that's no, it's my Wi-Fi for sure. All right, it's been a lot of fun. I can't wait to throw out another Metallica t-shirt next week.
I gotta pull out my Slayer t-shirt
next Friday, 7 a.m. Let's have another conversation. Yeah, Avan might have a Slayer t-shirt, and if he does, I'll join him in a beer because I think that'll be hilarious. Yes. Yeah, Jason, definitely star of the show is Jason, getting involved, speaking his mind, adding to the conversation, great points of view. Again, Jason, I'm so glad you got some profit this week too, sir. That's very, very awesome, man.
Appreciate
Joseph,
it,
always great for being here with us.
I got to appreciate everybody that gets on.
Italian moment.
We don't do this without you.
For sure. We love doing it, man. Avan and I are going to be talking, believe me, we'll be here at 7 a.m. every week. Him and I will be talking and shooting the shit and trying to figure out what the hell's going on.
It's a condition of my parole.
It's just a lot more fun when we have more people. Of your parole?
It's a condition of my parole that I'm here at 7 o'clock every Friday.
Are you on? Is that the... Okay, Spencer's telling me to wrap it up. I'm getting the cut from the producer. Love you guys. Smash the like. Smash it.
Have a good weekend.
Oh, God. We'll see you next week.
Bye-bye.
See you, man. It's so good.
Bye.
We'll talk to you later. No problem. See ya.